All right. Hello and welcome to today's video where we're going to talk about why natural ones and failure are so important in D&D. And it doesn't matter what edition you're playing, whatever, we're talking about fucking failing. So let's go. Ah, da, 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 da. Oh, no. Okay, wait. Okay. So, perception. Natural ones in Dungeons and Dragons, they're usually perceived as something bad, right? Because you fail, whether your table is running it as an automatic failure or not, whatever you're doing, it's usually very bad. It's not a good thing because it means 9 out of 10 times you are going to fail in whatever you're trying to accomplish when you roll that dice. And it could be something super significant and have a lot of meaning, or it could be something a little silly and goofy, such as like, I don't know, falling off a ladder and hitting your bum on the ground. So, there's also this stigma that like you really can't live out your fantasy or play like the super powerful character if, you're failing all the time. And you also don't want, like, sometimes it can feel as though it's your fault if you roll a 1. And so, like, you and your character might be blamed for whatever the task is that you weren't able to achieve because you rolled poorly. But guess what? Sometimes that's the case, and sometimes that happens because failing sucks, but it doesn't always have to be a bad thing. And that's kind of really what I wanted to talk to you guys about today, is that failing can actually be a good thing. It can actually drive your games forward. So, in reality, failing can actually add more depth to your game and to your character. So when you fail your roll or your check or whatever it is, it adds realism because you're not going to you're not always going to succeed, in real life or wherever. And I know it's like, oh, it's a fantasy game, like, oh, I always want to succeed because I want to be cool and powerful. But just because you fail something, it doesn't mean that you're not cool and powerful. It means that you're a person, you're a humanoid, and it just gives you another chance to try again and to be able to grow and learn and succeed next time, And the risk of failure also allows you to add more stakes to your game. When you roll a natural 1 on a death save, that's 2 death saving throws gone. That means you are in real danger, especially in D&D 5e, where combat really isn't that deadly a lot of the time, depending on, what table you are at, of course, but mostly it's really not that deadly. So this kind of like extreme failure can help add pressure and weight, and really make like the game feel more alive and like it's a living, breathing world versus just like a glamorized Barbie doll world where you can do whatever the fuck you want, and it also creates a lot of memorable moments at the end of the day. Like, failure's great because there are so many natural 1 moments from my games that I remember and where I was like, no, oh my God, another natural 1. Oh, fuck. Like, what am I gonna do, And that comes from a DM perspective, but also a player perspective. Like, when you roll 5 natural 1s in a row as a player, don't get me wrong, that fucking sucks. But there's always ways to spin it around and turn it. Like, use it to get creative with your storytelling. So, essentially, like, with your... Say if you are... I'll give you an example. So, there's a monster, all right? They're running you. They're chasing you down. Boom, boom, they hit you twice. It's your turn. All right. You go to attack them, a natural 1. Attack them again, another natural 1. Attack them again, a 2. You still miss. And in that moment, you can like show your character, you can get into like the role play and be like, have your character be terrified, or you can have them like maybe grit their teeth and be like, not give up and be persistent, and like however you want to do it. But there's lots of ways to kind of fail. There was one game where I hadn't actually experienced this before, where a dungeon master for the first time they had me narrate my own natural one failure. And as a DM, I usually narrate them for players, and I narrated it, but it wasn't like, I don't think I did a good job, and I didn't give that natural one, that critical failure, enough impact. I was like, oh, like I stubbed my toe or whatever, and I was like, it wasn't good enough. And I think something that I really took away from that, because then they continued and they were like, hey, can I push this further? And I was like, yeah. And then they were like, you actually twist your ankle really bad, and then you drop your favorite tool in the ocean. So whatever you're trying to do, you can't do it anymore. And that really had an impact, like on this character, because, and this was a one shot, but it really gave me something to think about as a dungeon master as well, to try and make natural ones more meaningful, because I was like, wow, okay. I didn't end up playing it this way. Like, I kind of was like, oh, well, I think that kind of felt shitty. Like, I don't know that I really liked how impactful that was, but the more I thought about it, I was like, huh. But it did have an impact. And now looking back, I'm like, I actually really enjoyed how impactful that natural one was to my character, because, it felt realistic. Like, I was trying to do something incredibly difficult, and it was like, well, this is something that would absolutely happen if you made a large mistake. So I think that natural ones too are like another chance for your character to prepare more, right? So like, if I had played that character again, they probably would have, once they healed up their like ankle, got a new tool, but then they could have been creative and been like, well, I fucked this up so bad last time and I want to try it again. So how am I going to take the opportunity to really do this again and make sure that I can succeed this time? And maybe they were scaling some sort of wall. So maybe they like try to create or buy like some sort of scaling shoes or better equipment, or like anything that makes them, like more rounded as a character, but also gives them like drive and passion to succeed, because like you're fighting things in this game, and it doesn't just have to be monsters. Like, you're fighting your own failures. You can be fighting your demons, whatever the fuck you want to be, but it just gives you more obstacles and things to overcome and more avenues to be creative as well. So I think it's one of those things where it's like, well, when you don't roll a natural one, don't give up. Turn it into something cool. Turn it into something positive, that's what I like to say. Be a positive Pete. I don't know where that was going. I was trying to think of like a cool name that like had the double letter. It didn't go well. Anyway, basically, the gist of this whole thing is embrace that failure and turn it into something more, all right? And also, stream my original song, Natural One, linked right there and in the description. So yeah, it's about not giving up when you roll a natural one. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this little natural one video. Make sure to hit subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Bye.